Hello and welcome. I'm Liz, also known as Jaded Knitter on pretty much all social media. Um, and welcome to For Want of Pockets. Uh, Today's I've been on kind of a cleaning kick, so I've cleaned up my sewing room and neatened up all my craft supplies and all my knitting stuff. Yeah, that's how I get at the end of the year. And one of the things I did was I went through my work in progress bin, and yes, this really is as big as you think it is. And that's after it's had a bit of a pare down. I was going to do the whole look at it live thing, and then I realized that I have no idea what's actually in that bin, nor do I know what the name of most of the projects were. So we've gone through it and made notes. And then there's a few projects that I've finished over the holidays. Tea is always needed, always. So I guess we'll start with the finished objects because why not? I don't remember what of these. I don't think I was working on any of these the last time. Anyway, so this is my latest wool skirt, and it's just my standard. This one is from Sense and Sensibility Patterns online. I'll link them in the description box below. And it's the Beatrix skirt, which is, we'll call it circa 1905-ish. I've made a couple of them now. I really like the pattern. I messed up the pocket on this one. So this is the waistband, and that's the top of the pocket. That's actually quite a bit below my hip line. Pocket should have been up here, so that needs to get fixed. But I mean, for the most part, the pocket's functional. My thing is I like pockets in my, well, everything. It's functional, it's just I kind of have to hike the whole skirt up to get my hand down to the bottom of it, which is not the most useful thing in the world. And then there is, and I'll put in a picture of what it looks like. I've actually got a picture of me with this on as well. This is the latest sweater. I had done a cockatoo bray years ago. Loved it. I mean, really, it's a rainbow star pattern. Stars and trees. Well, I guess it's snowflakes and trees, but whatever. But it's too big on me. So I realized that I still had enough of, because the yarn for the color work and the body of this original sweater was out of a kit. And it was exactly what the original pattern was made out of. And it's out of the book Yokes, and I will have to look up who it is by, because of course I'm not going to remember to write down things like that. I don't even know how this is in. Oh, there it is. It's by Kate Davies, and it's in the book Yokes. And I love it. I adore this sweater. I love the first one. And I realized I had enough of the colors left over to make a second one. I actually have enough of the colors left over to make a third one. I just didn't have any more of the brown. Turns out I have this coal gray black in my stash to make another sweater that I ended up not really wanting to make, so I made myself a new cockatoo bray. There is actually a video of me steeking this, so of me cutting the knitting in half. So if you want to see that, again, I'll link it down below. And like I said, I'll put in the picture of me wearing the cockatoo bray and the skirt. It's kind of it's become one of my go-to outfits. I ended up wearing it for like 4 days in a row while I was traveling for work because it was comfortable and it meant I just had to wear different tops. So it was great. And it was warm because winter in Canada. So yeah, so that's that. And this one actually has buttons on it. I'm infamous for not ever getting around to putting buttons on my sweaters. This one's got buttons and it has buttonholes and all of the ends. This is why I love steeking sweaters, is everything but like the ends that ended up out here on the edge because it was the final part, and like the ones that started the sleeves they all just get shoved under here and they disappear. You don't have to weave them in. It's wonderful. Million ends never get woven in. And it's perfectly stable. It's not going to come apart. I mean, like I said, I've worn this one for a couple of weeks now, and it's perfectly fine. So yeah, steeking video down below. And then this is the one that I have been working on over the last couple of episodes, and it's finally done. It's finally done. And it's got, again, I actually put buttons on it, which is fabulous because I never remember to put buttons on things. I don't even know where this one is. There we go. That's what I want. This is Violet's Jacket by Elizabeth Lovick, and it's out of Centenary Stitches. I still can't say that word. But I love the fact that it's got a wonderful sailor collar on it, and the basket weave work on it. Once I figured out how to read the pattern, once I figured out that I actually have to read the pattern, don't be me, read the pattern, and figured out what was going on, it worked wonderfully. Also, read the errata on a pattern. I missed it for this one and ended up having to do surgery on it because I was missing like 6 inches. Fits now. It's wonderful. I love it. Again, this one's gotten a lot of wear out of it. It's heavier than my cockatoo bray, and it's been ridiculously warm for this time of year here, so it hasn't gotten as much wear. It's normally my office I work in an old building, and my office is generally cold because, well, A, it's an old building, and B, I'm sitting directly in front of a wall of very large windows. So it's not exactly, warm in the winter. So those, and then I decided that because I wear skirts so much, I needed knee-high socks. I didn't really want to have to buy new socks because I have a lot of socks. So I found the pattern for these, and they are the Vanity Fair leg warmers by Melissa Shashwari. I am mispronouncing her name and I know it, and my apologies. They're done but the buttons. And I was going to there should be a button here for this little pleat gather, and then there's a line of buttons that go up the top. This is actually the cuff, and they're amazingly stretchy. But yeah, so I realized that because I wear skirts all the time in the winter, I needed higher socks because I don't like nylons. And I'm too tall, so I don't find they fit properly. And the ones that do are too big and quickly migrate south. So I just stay away from them. But I don't want to have to buy new socks. I have a lot of sock yarn. But I also didn't want to have to knit knee-high socks, so I knit myself leg warmers that can go over my socks, because why not? And then this morning I went through, when I finished these, I went through my button collection, and I have a lot of buttons. None of them will work for this, or more to the point, the ones I have that will work, I don't have enough, because I need small buttons, and all of my small pearl buttons were bought to make baby clothes, so I bought a card of small pearl buttons. I need 3 cards, because I need 5, 6, 12, I think, something like that. But those are done, they're wearable. I just have to get up to the store on Monday and buy buttons. Because yeah, I've also found my stash of baby clothes. Like I said, I'm horrible at putting buttons on things. These all have buttonholes. They're all done, except for buttons. So those little tiny buttons that I found, I'll have to sit down some night and do. This one is one that, at one point, this fit me. So it's something I wanted to copy and I've kept because I love it. Oh yeah, and then the other finished object. It's corset. It's, as you can tell by the wrinkles in it, it has been worn several times because I still find the corset so much more comfortable to wear, especially at work during the day where I'm sitting down at a computer all day, because it helps keep upright and just helps, I find helps support my back so much better than anything else I've worn, so I love them. That pattern is from Truly Victorian. It is their late Victorian, I want to say. And it's kind of, I found that it fits my body the best, so I will be making more of those. Probably several more. I found I have, this is part of the cleaning up, I actually have all of the components I need to make an entire another corset, and I didn't realize it. So, woot. The tea is different. I'm going through all of my back stash of tea. I'm trying not to buy things until I've, actually gone through what I have. So this year is going to be a year of the stash down of pretty much everything. So this bag, which is my Knit City bag from a few years ago, is all of the stuff that needed ends woven in, and half of it needed blocking, which, I mean, that's not too bad. There's several pairs of, this is what, 4 pairs of socks in here. These were all done. This pair was done entirely, like the ends are even woven in. This pair, I realized that the reason I've never actually woven in the ends is they don't fit properly. I had knit them for Crazy Dog Yarns out of her yarn. They're the zigzagular socks. And really interesting pattern, but they just don't fit my feet, and I don't, because they're garter stitch, I don't like how they feel. So this pair of socks is actually a sock, and there is a mate to it, which is currently in my sock drawer, is going to just become a display on my foot, because I have a random foot. Hermione's Everyday socks, again, these were done, it's just one of them was still attached to the ball of yarn, and I needed to weave in the ends. These are just my standard toe-up socks. I do not remember who this yarn is. I think this stuff is 3 Irish Girls. This was something I got at the Spin Right outlet because I live in Listowel. I live within walking distance of the Spin Right outlet, so I do occasionally go in there. Yeah. So that's 3 more pairs of socks to add to the month's worth that I already own. Hence the reason I knit leg warmers instead of buying more socks. This is just my collection of handmade socks. I might have a problem. Just and then I found these, which are a design by Proper on Ravelry. She's my friend Teresa, and I think I test knit these, but I'm not 100% sure. But I got the pattern from her, and the yarn had snapped in one of the thumbs, and I just had to basically just darn it. But the yarn snapped while I still lived in Ottawa. I moved here in 2016. So, yeah, I need to go through this bin more often. So those are done. I sat down, I was talking to my mom earlier, and sat down and started weaving in the ends. So all of the ends are actually woven in on these things. And these ones are the ones that need to be blocked. So this is my dragon tail shawl, which is the design I came up with to use Art by Anna's garden party cakes. I don't think Anna does yarn dyeing anymore. What I found was discontinued. But yeah, it'll work with any of the larger gradient balls. And it's fairly simple pattern with little dragon's tails on it. But again, this one's actually blocked. So this one's done. Because I blocked it, but I hadn't woven in the ends when I took pictures of it. I don't know why I didn't bother to weave in the ends, but I didn't. There you go. So that's another one that's done. And this is my French can-can, which was part of a knit-along that we had done on Two Tangled Skeins many, many moons ago, because we did it when this pattern first came out. So this has been sitting in my ends to be woven in and to be blocked pile 6-7 years, something like that. Possibly 8. No, I don't think it's as much as 8. I think it's probably 6 years. But it is the French can-can by Mademoiselle C, and it's done out of Fleece Artist Merino, which is lovely and squishy, and I believe they're Canadian. But the ends are now woven in, and I just have to. I think this one already had been somewhat blocked, because it looks like it's been blocked, but I'm going to give it a good go over. Anything that doesn't have to be seriously pinned out, I steam block it, I iron it. It's wool. It's not going to cause problems. So that needs to be gotten. Random dishcloth, which I need to make more of. My Hitchhiker by Martina Blim. I'd been meaning to knit one of these forever and a day, and I got a ball of Noro striped wool. I don't remember whatever gauge that the pattern actually calls for, I think, from my mom's best friend, and she sent it along. She didn't have anything that she could do with it, so she sent it to my mom, and my mom gave it to me, and I now have a Hitchhiker. Again, needs to be blocked. The ends are woven in, everything else. I keep putting stuff on top of my notebook, because I actually wrote notes this time. And I need to stop doing that, because then I can't see things. So this is the Town Square shawl, which really, this one I will probably have to fully pin block, because it's your typical shawl, looks like cat yak, and it's tiny, but it should actually be quite a bit bigger. Like I said, it's the Town Square shawl by Romy Hill. I love her pattern, her lace patterns. I've done a bunch of them. And the yarn is Indigo Dragonfly Laurie's Lace in some kind of like slate-ish blue-gray color. And then last one, this bag's empty, is 100 Acre Wood, and this is by Helen Stewart. I want to say the yarn is possibly, I keep wanting to call them Grasshopper Green. That's not it. They've changed their name. They're a company from out west, and they do long gradient self-striping. It's specifically made for shawls, so it comes out with fairly even stripes if you do it right. And it's super, super squishy and lovely. And again, just needs to be ironed. I don't know why I don't. I finish them. I'm that person who finishes things and throws them in the bin to be done, like to have the ends woven in and to be blocked. And then many, many moons later, I finally, the bin overflows and I get around to it. So that clears all of the stuff that just needed ends woven in. So I'm rather proud of myself. This is the stuff to be finished. It's a bag a friend of mine made me many years ago when I moved to Ontario from Nova Scotia. So I have another baby jacket, and it's, again, the baby surprise jacket, because I love this pattern. It's a fun knit, and it's an easy knit. So, but I have to find either the remnants of whatever yarn I used, which I think is Caron. I want to say it's the Caron Simply Soft. It's one of the chunky striping ones. I have to find it so I can attach the, make the sleeves. So do the final, do the seam on it, and then again, put buttons on it. I have buttons to put on it. I have buttons to put on all of these things. I just don't, I hate putting on buttons. I hate putting on buttons. Which is why my sweaters don't get buttons. So that, I have to find the other sock. It's a sock. It's a plain sock. I mean, there's not really anything interesting. Some of you may remember me knitting this. This is a Pineapple Bag by, it's Franklin Habit, who put it up on Knitty, on knitty.com, and it's a pattern from the 1800s, I believe, that he we'll call it translated for the modern knitter, but it needs a interior lining bag, which I have the fabric for. I can see the fabric for it from here. I just have to get around to doing it, and this is probably a good 7 or 8 years old. Again, it's sitting in the stash. These are, I want to say the pattern name was Crossbones. It was a pattern I had written, and I have to actually find the pattern because apparently it never got published. I have a feeling that it's done, it's tested, and it just never got published, because it was a Halloween pattern at some point, as can be told by the Halloween yarn. This one still has a thing in it. Yeah, there is only one sock, and it is, yep, still attached, because that's how I roll. This is, what is this? This is Highland Handmaids and their Silver Maple Sock, and the color is Witchy. And this is from a pair of viewers who were watching me while I was still doing Knit Pug, I think. So a few years ago, and they had sent me this, and I had started to knit a pattern and then got distracted and stopped. So I need to find the pattern for that. These are the Silver Space Socks, I want to say. Speckled Space Socks. And that pattern is by Amanda Stevens. And this is yarn that I picked up in a, it has, I love it when I remember to put the tags in. it was a local-ish dyer to where I was staying in Florida with my parents a couple of years ago because I ran out of yarn partway through. On the Round is the name of the yarn, and I mean, it reminded me of the area that we were in. But as you can see, I pulled out the needles from, luckily, socks, I have 1 gauge of needle, period, end of story. So I know what needles to put back in it. And then there becomes the depressing. Because as I said, there's this massive thing, and there's all of this stuff in here, and all of it is to be frogged. I'm not going to bother pulling most of it out. It's all getting frogged. The part I'm saddest about is this. This is my Dark and Stormy, which again, I knit pretty much the entire thing while I was in Florida. Finished it when I got home, but it was spring, and then I didn't get around to weaving in the ends and blocking it, as per usual. And now it is several sizes too big, unblocked. I don't even want to know, blocked. So I figure, because it hasn't been blocked, the ends aren't woven in, nothing, no. There's even still extra yarn. I'm just going to frog it. As sad as that is, I'm going to frog it, and I will make something else out of it. But yeah, that's what's left in this bin. Is probably 7 or 8 projects, but they're all things that are going to get frogged. There's a couple of them I don't know what pattern I was knitting. Oh, where is it? Oh, yeah. And then there's this one. I will just hold that up against my hand. Like, that's... That's like a child's mitten. I don't actually know what I was thinking. The scary part is, first pair was smaller. So yeah, that's going to get pulled. Believe your measuring tape, people. Believe your measuring tape. So that's it. That is all of it. That is a lot of reclaimed project bags. And a lot of, I won't say reclaimed space, but whatevs. Yeah, that's what's going on right now. I have no idea what I'm going, oh, actually, I do know what I'm going to be knitting on. Where did I throw it? Here it is. Because I haven't pulled this out in a while, but I have been slowly knitting away on it. This is my Queen Susan shawl. This is the Queen Susan shawl, and it's by the historical knitting group on Ravelry, and it's free pattern. It's wonderful. It's based off of a shawl in the Shetland Museum that a group of wonderful and slightly insane people worked out with pictures of the shawl that they had questioned the museum about, gotten better pictures of this shawl, and basically worked out a pattern for it. And it's brilliant. I've been working on that for, we are officially at the 10-year mark now, possibly the 11, because I don't remember if I started in 2010 or 2009. I want to say 2009, so it's possible we've done the 11-year mark now. And I want to get it done. It needs to get done. It is my Insanity project. That is actually what it is called in my queue, is Insanity. So when you hear me refer to Insanity, that's it. That is round 3 or round 4. The last round got eaten by moths, and it didn't end well. I've gone further now than I ever have, so fingers crossed. That's it. That's what I'm working on. I'm going to try and finish off some of the stuff that I have. I won't say on the needles, because they're all pulled off of the needles, but trying to finish things off. And we'll see. Because my ability to not start a new project is pretty low. So yeah, that's, like I said, that's what's going on right now, and I'll be back eventually with something more. I don't have anything currently on my sewing machine, which is behind me, but no, that's the light. Where's the sewing machine? There's the sewing machine. So I don't actually have a sewing project on the go right now. I need to fix that. Yes, that needs to be fixed. But until such time as it is, I'll say goodbye and happy knitting, happy sewing. Enjoy yourself out there. And, press the follow button. Drop me a comment. Say hello. I love to hear from people. I am on, like I said, I'm Jade Knitter pretty much everywhere. So you can look me up. I'm on Instagram. I'm on Ravelry. Okay, that's pretty much as everywhere as I get. Yes, Grumble Gus. The pug has woken up and wants dinner, so we're going to go find food. And I will talk to you all, you lovelies, later.